Hello once again, my travelers of the unknown, my ghouls, my goblins, my delightful YouTube viewers. It's a pleasure as always. I'm Taylor, your casual crypt keeper, and I'm here for more stories to terrorize and entertain. You know, they say the devil's in the details. Well, my viewers, if that's the case, then I'm about to tell you about 5 extremely detailed creatures. This is top 5 terrifying creatures the devil created. Let's dive on in and tell me down below in the comments which one of these little monsters was your favorite, okay? Number 5, Bunyip. Coming in at the number 5 spot is the Bunyip, which, from the name alone, you might be forgiven for thinking it sounds kinda cute. The Bunyip is a creature from Aboriginal Australian folklore. Its name literally means devil or evil spirit, translated from the Wemba Wemba language. The Bunyip is an aquatic predator, with many varying descriptions of it. Sometimes it sorta looks like a hippo, sometimes it looks like a cross between a giant cat and a giant dog, but with like tusks and fangs and all sorts of sharp bits, and sometimes it's just like a totally incomprehensible, long, snake-like, twisty being. The only real comment across all depictions of the Bunyip is that it is a ferocious creature in its own right. Over the years, there have been a number of reported sightings or findings of mysterious bones in southern Australia that led early settlers and colonists to believe the Bunyip was a new creature out there waiting to be discovered. It inhabits swamps, rivers, and lakes, basically anywhere wet that it can hide itself and lurk for prey, dragging everything underwater. The first recorded sighting of it, or story about it, by Australian settlers was in 1851, when a tracing of the creature's body was discovered near a riverbank in Ararat, Victoria. Local Aboriginal hunters had speared an unknown beast after a member of their tribe had been felled, and made an imprint of the creature's body to remember it by, described by one newspaper journalist as 11 paces long and 4 paces wide in extreme depth. This outline sadly no longer exists and is lost to time, but it was enough to spur an interest and a hunt for this possibly mythical, possibly real creature that's now become sort of a folk symbol for Australia. They love it down there. And hey folks, if you love hearing about cryptids, creepy crawlies, crypts, crooks, and everything that goes bump in the night, then you are already in the best spot on YouTube for that. Consider tossing a subscribe our way, and stick around for loads more scary content every day. Alright, let's keep on going. Number 4. Koschei. The Koschei is a creature that features prominently in Slavic folklore, sometimes known as the Immortal, or the Deathless. The Koschei is a shapeshifter capable of taking many forms, but it's always described as being hideously ugly, no matter the form. When it's a human, it prefers to ride naked on its horse through the mountains and manifests as a sort of wrinkly old man. But when it's looking for victims to sweep up, it can take the form of a giant whirlwind tornado to hoover up potential targets. Now, my favorite thing about the Koschei is his craftiness. Although there are many tales that Koschei appears in, the most common feature of all of them is a spell which prevents him from dying, hence the names the Immortal, the Deathless. But the way he does this is really something else. He does this by literally hiding his soul away inside nesting objects to protect it. So, first he puts his soul inside a needle, then he hides that inside an egg, and then the egg is inside a duck, and the duck is inside a rabbit, and the rabbit's inside a chest, and the chest is chained up and buried on a far, far away island. So he's really got a backup plan if you're trying to get at his soul. It's gonna take more than one step. Another fairly common element of folklore present for the Koschei is his lecherous, womanizing ways, as he's often presented as an antagonist for a male suitor, with his most well-known legend being his rivalry with Prince Ivan Tsarevich, a Russian folk hero. In this legend, Ivan was a lonely prince who'd seen all 3 of his sisters married to 3 powerful wizards but was a bachelor himself. Honestly, if all my family members got married to wizards, I would be incredibly jealous and lonely, so I get where he was coming from. Eventually, he traveled the lands looking for a woman to make his queen, and met a lovely warrior woman who soon left for war and left him behind, pleading not to open the door in their castle, which held an imprisoned man in chains. When Ivan freed him, he learned he'd been tricked by Koschei, who tried to steal his wife away from him. With a little help from Baba Yaga, his wizards-in-law, and a little bit of guile, Ivan was able to fell Koschei the Deathless. Whether or not it was actually permanent though, well, that's anyone's guess. He is deathless after all. Number 3. The Chimera. The Chimera is a creature of Greek myth, and is basically something of a Frankenstein monster of all the worst parts of a bunch of angry creatures taped together. It's got the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and most scary of all, the butt of a dragon. But it's also depicted as having 3 extremely angry fire-breathing heads of a lion, goat, and a dragon. Sometimes it's even described as having a serpent in place of its tail, who is probably getting the worst deal out of all the creatures in that arrangement. The creature was thought to be of divine origin. Whether a product of the gods or something more sinister is unknown, but the Chimera was downright nasty. I mean, it's a 3-headed monster that breathes fire. There was no way that it was going to go around and be a service to the community. Anyway, in the Greek myth of yore, the Chimera was slain by Bellerophon, the son of Poseidon and the master of the mighty Pegasus, the winged horse. He was exiled after slaying his brother, but sought redemption because it was a bit of a misunderstanding. So from there on out, Bellerophon gets sent all over town doing favors for local kings, befriending local winged horses that are drinking from fountains, you know, standard issue hero stuff. Eventually making his way to an audience with King Iobates, who had the biggest challenge for him yet to defeat the Chimera in single combat. As frightening as the Chimera was, it was slain by Bellerophon, who drove a lead-tipped spear directly into its flaming gullet, which I guess it couldn't handle. Number 2. Cerberus. Another fabled creature of Greek myth. Coming up on the number 2 spot is Hell's most loyal watchdog and a very good boy. Cerberus serves as the guardian of the gates of the underworld and is an unbelievably big 3-headed dog. He's there to make sure that no one escapes the punishment they've been served, and if somehow someone was to try and escape the underworld, like say any would-be heroes of myth or any bratty sons of Hades, they'd have to deal with the infernal guardian. Cerberus has a pretty storied family history, being the son of Typhoeus and Echidna, both themselves pretty horrifying monstrosities in their own right. He's the brother of Orthus, who was a giant 2-headed dog who probably would have been a lot more famous were it not for his 3-headed brother. Interestingly, there's actually also some historical discrepancy about Cerberus and his many heads. While almost all depictions ubiquitously show Cerberus having 3 heads, the poet Hesiod described Cerberus as a beast with 50 heads or more, which is a little unsettling to consider. Although, honestly, I feel like that many dog heads all in one place, it would start to get cute in its own way. Now, Cerberus gets a bit of a bad rap. He's done damage to the giant 3-headed dog community, but he has been known to be friendly. In the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, Orpheus went to seek his beloved Eurydice from the depths of Hades and was confronted by Cerberus. Orpheus played the beast a beautiful song on his lyre, and in an unprecedented move from Cerberus, Cerberus was so charmed and tamed by the music, he stood aside and let Orpheus in. Can't help but bop his 3 heads along to the rhythm. And finally, coming in at the number 1 spot is the Manticore. A Manticore has the head of a man, the body of a magnificent lion, and a massive tail of a scorpion replete with a poison stinger that stretches behind it. If somehow this isn't enough scary parts on one creature and you want more, some depictions of the Manticore also show it having gigantic bat wings like a bat or a dragon. It uses its tail to sting its prey and leave them helpless, and is even able to fire off its stingers like a projectile, as if an arrow drawn from a bow. The Manticore prefers to hunt by hiding its body in tall grass or the brush of the jungle, so only its head is poking out, appearing as a helpless, frail old man to a passerby that would find it in the woods. From here, it reverts to its true shape and strikes out at the victim, and once the wanderer notices that the old man in front of them has rows and rows of teeth inside its harrowing mouth, well, it's kind of already too late. One of the key traits of a Manticore is that it never leaves behind any evidence. It consumes everything it preys on down to the last drop. It's as if you never existed. The word Manticore is a loose translation of the Persian name for beast, Martikoras, and the legends that date back say the Manticore was the true king of the jungle and was able to dominate any creature and devour any threat that came its way without leaving a trace behind, with one of its favorite targets being men, and preferably in groups. While eating one person would be delightful, it would wait there for groups of 3 to 4 people before it would strike for a proper feast. And that's all for this video, my little ghouls and goblins. Thanks so much for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.